Every Thursday afternoon when I was 9 years old in elementary school, I and a few other select students were whisked away out of the classroom and ushered into the library where we congregated with our fellow students who were labeled as gifted. What did we do in there? What mysterious activities did we engage in that were meant to stimulate our seemingly insatiable creative appetite and challenge our intellectual capacities? We played with marbles. That was actually something that we did. One of the few activities was creating a marble run. We also did paper mache and some other kind of fun and interesting. When I was invited to be a part of this program as a kid, it strongly influenced my perception of myself. I thought very highly of myself in comparison to the other kids in the hierarchy of intellectuality and intellectualism and smartness. I interpreted my being chosen for this program as an indication of my intellectual superiority. And I equated this perceived intellectual superiority with innately possessing higher value and importance as a person, which is so messed up. But I believe that in order to maintain the status of superiority, I had to continually demonstrate that I was intellectually superior. It's kind of hard to admit because it makes me look like, I think, narcissistic and full of myself and who does she think she is? But if I'm being brutally honest, that's how I grew up perceiving myself a little bit in some ways. Maintaining this status meant that I needed to continue getting the highest grades, receiving awards and certificates, and having my work be used as an example for the class for what the other students should strive for. When I received this positive feedback publicly in a way that teachers and students were aware of, it made me feel good. I felt valued, I felt important. To be clear, I never bragged about any of my academic achievements. The teachers did that for me, but I never talked about it or told anyone my grades or anything. I was a very quiet kid. I was not a popular kid. I was not very skilled at socializing, and I felt that academic success gave me a higher place in the social hierarchy. It was a strong part of my identity. It was a way for me to feel seen, and it satisfied my need for attention. I seemed to naturally do well in subjects such as writing and math, and I took pride in that. It was very important to me that other students and teachers perceived me as being super smart, as being the student who excelled academically. I developed extreme perfectionism to the point where I had so much difficulty starting an assignment because I feared that it wouldn't be outstanding. Horrible fear to have. Poor me, worrying that it wouldn't be amazing. This was particularly a challenge for me in English class, in writing class, where I found that I seemed to do the most well, and that was a class that I received the most praise in. I was so attached to the idea of being a writer and of being an outstanding writer whose work was, frankly, better than everyone else's, or so I was led to believe. But that's what I felt I needed to be. I couldn't settle for being average. Being average meant being invisible. I remember I actually skipped class because I couldn't get myself to write an essay because I felt that none of the ideas that I had were good enough. When I was in high school, I was also super depressed and socially anxious and had a difficult home life, and so that also contributed to me skipping classes, not attending school, and so that also contributed to my grades falling. So at that point, I couldn't derive a feeling of high self-importance from academic success because I was not academically succeeding. I wasn't even academicing. But also, if I'm not academicing, then I can't succeed or fail. I would fail on paper by default, but to fail without doing or trying wasn't really a failure to me. So also, if I didn't do any assignments, I couldn't fail them. I couldn't do bad if I don't do them, so Fun fact, when I was in elementary school, I actually quit the gifted program. I walked up to the teacher one day and said, I don't want to be in this program anymore. And she said, okay. And that was that. I quit. One of the reasons that I quit was because it took place during art class as well, and I didn't want to miss art class or something like that. I was also somewhat uncomfortable being in that program with the other kids. Just socially awkward interacting. Group work was difficult for me. So that's also another reason that I quit the gifted program. But when I was in high school, my youth worker suggested that I take the official giftedness evaluation test, and I had apparently never been officially categorized as gifted. I think that the program that I was in when I was in elementary school was just for kids who were like academically thriving, and I don't think I actually had to take a test to be in that, but maybe I did. I do remember taking some tests outside of class when I was in elementary school, but I don't know what they were for. Maybe they were for that. I don't know. But the funny thing is, I had to go in for a couple sessions in high school to take that giftedness assessment, and I actually found myself struggling with some of the content. I remember there were some mathematical problems in there, and math was one of my best subjects. Actually, I was really good at it, but some of the equations and the symbols I was either unfamiliar with, or it had been such a long time since I had solved problems like that I had forgotten how to do them. I panicked a little bit. There was also a time limit, of course, to taking this evaluation, and so I was confused and stressed and thinking, wow, am I actually not smart, and this is a silly assessment. Oh my gosh, this doesn't make sense. And so I skipped the second half of the test. I skipped the second day that I had to go in. I never did it because I was afraid of finding out that I was not gifted, that I was not actually way above average, that I was not outstanding, that I was not the superior being of intellectuality and wisdom that I wanted to believe that I was. If you don't do it, then you can't fail at it. If I don't complete the test, then hey, maybe I am super intellectually superior and gifted, but we'll never know. We'll never know. So I didn't complete the test. I will admit that I don't think I would actually end up being above that threshold in order to be categorized as gifted if I did complete the test. And that's why I didn't want to finish it, because I didn't want to face that fact, and I didn't want everybody else to know. Shame. Fast forward to university, I found myself struggling once again. A lot of the grades were dependent on participation and group work. Two things which I very much struggled with. I was still able to thrive in my major to a degree, but when you're in university, you are surrounded by a whole bunch of other students who are also thriving academically, who are also quote, quote, smart. When you're surrounded by other students who are also thriving academically, it becomes pretty difficult to think of yourself as academically superior. This is a necessary, humbling experience for me. This is a necessary, you could say, character arc for me to be in that situation where I can't think of myself as the most intellectually amazing person who is the example, but I was still having this mentality of equating my value to my academic success. And so when my work was not exemplary, I felt really bad about myself, because a significant portion of my identity was still tied to my academic success in comparison to everyone else. And I think that's a very important, significant point. I needed to be up here, well, most other people are over here. I needed to be better. And that is a problem. It is a problematic mentality, way of thinking, way of valuing people. I graduated university a few years ago, and I am asking myself, where am I getting my sense of self-worth? How am I evaluating my sense of success? Where am I looking for it? Where am I looking for my value? I know that I have always been seeking external approval, and in every activity that I do, in every job that I have done, it has been important to me not only to do well, but to do better than my peers. So when I find myself not doing better than someone I know at something that we're both doing, I feel insignificant. And I feel that I need to be significant, but sometimes I can't be. And I am surrounded by people who are doing better work than me, who are doing more than me, who are receiving praise and recognition when I am not. And so I think maybe I'm not that great, I'm not that superior, I'm not that outstanding and amazing, and how conceited it would be of me to think that I am. But then I think even if I was deemed as particularly outstanding in an area by some evaluation, it is so damaging to determine how happy and at peace and appreciative I should be by placing value solely on how well I can execute a task in comparison to other people and how I am recognized for the ability to do so. If we do receive an award for our achievements or we do really well in an activity, of course we're going to feel good about ourselves. It feels good to receive recognition, to receive praise. It feels good to be seen and to receive that kind of positive attention. And it's okay to acknowledge that. But the absence of that recognition and that achievement should not lead to our feeling perpetually bad about ourselves. So I have been exploring shifting my focus. What if we shift our focus? If we lean away from the me, look at me, look what I'm doing, look how good I am because I'm so good at this. I am important because I am good at this. What if we explore the value of growth, of learning, of curiosity, trying something new and failing? What if the value is enjoyment and play, development, evolving? This mindset doesn't need to apply to every circumstance and every situation, but I have found myself happier and more at peace when I am moving with these values. That doesn't mean that I don't have ambitions, that I don't have goals, or that I don't work hard, or that I don't desire some kind of attention, because I am human and I do. But how do the values that we have, that we are motivated by, serve us? Do they? Also, it feels really good, in my experience, to feel good for other people and other people's accomplishments, not in a forced way, but just in an open way. That's another kind of topic, but is also relevant. Getting away from the me. I'm only valuable when I do well and when people know that I am doing well. Getting out of that mentality. It's not helpful for me or anybody else. What if we challenge ourselves to just do something, to try something new and not do great? Just learn. You also don't have to be good at something to do it. You don't have to be a great baseball player to play baseball. Chances are you might enjoy it more if you are good at baseball. I don't play baseball. That's not a very good example. But you don't have to be good at something to enjoy it. You don't have to be good at something to do it. There's so many opportunities to enjoy life. The sun is setting right now and it's really beautiful, and I think that's more what life is about. That sounds very... But what happens when we explore shifting our focus, shifting our values and priorities and the lenses that we look through? Also, nobody's thinking about you as much as you're thinking about yourself. Nobody's evaluating you and judging your accomplishments or the caliber of your success as much as you. Chances are you're also not the most
amazing, outstanding, incredible, intellectually superior person in this world.
And that's okay, because most other people aren't either. And if anyone else thinks that's important, well, that's their problem. It's okay, because you are still the only you that exists in this universe. Maybe there's parallel universe and there's some other yous out there, but they're not you. They're not the same you that you are. And that's exciting. No one can be you like you. No one is the you that you are. No one can be you like you. Isn't that right, Marley? Yes. Yes, it is.